When you were a kid, did you ever make something you were genuinely proud of at the time? Or not even make something, but do something. Something even 15 years later you have a tinge of pride and nostalgia for. Maybe you hit a game-winning home run, or you read the word television correctly in front of the whole class. Or you won a game of dodgeball, as the underdog. Those first two never happened to me, but the third one did. It was the summer after first or second grade, and my brother dragged me into a game of dodgeball with a bunch of kids around his age. I didn't want to play, and I'm pretty sure I kept on getting out in every game. I've said this on the channel before, but I'm visually impaired. I am extremely light sensitive, and my vision is just poor overall. In the best conditions, my vision is 2200. I don't think I had my glasses at the time, so these were not the best conditions. Anyway, we're playing the last game of the night, and I somehow made it to the last few people. It was me and one other person on my team. Maybe my brother, I don't really remember. The last kid on the other team gets my brother out, so it's just me. I can feel the sighs from all sides of the room. Everyone knows I'm gonna lose. I remember just kind of giving up, knowing there was no way I was gonna win. The next part is kind of just a blur, and I'm pretty sure it was just a blur at the time, too. I don't even remember him throwing the ball. I definitely don't remember catching it. All I remember is everyone huddling around me, hoisting me up like in a 90s sports drama, and celebrating me. The blind kid that actually did something cool. There were very few fleeting moments like that when I was a kid. For a while, it was figuring out what kind of flips I could do on my trampoline. Then it was getting almost as good as my brother at Guitar Hero. Then it was writing. My classroom in elementary school had 2 computers off to the side. I was allowed to use one for all things writing because of my vision. I even had a little memory stick to put Word docs in to bring back and forth. One day in maybe the 3rd grade, we had free time to do whatever we wanted. I honestly don't really remember why. But I was bored, and the teacher's aide knew that, so she suggested that I write. I was like, about what? Write a story about Halloween or something, she suggested. So I begrudgingly walked over to the computer and sat down to write. I was a little bit of an insomniac as a kid. I don't think I was diagnosed or anything, but I definitely just had a hard time sleeping. So I would often sit up late at night and watch TV. One night, the Disney Channel original movie Halloween Town was on. I don't remember much of the plot, but I do remember a specific part that clearly influenced me a lot. There was this scene at a costume party where all the people were turned into the monsters they were dressed up as. I clearly thought this was really cool because I repurposed it in my Halloween story. I started writing Halloween Gone Too Far, a story about 4 kids who find necklaces with the magical ability to turn the wearer into whatever monster the costume depicts. There was Nathan, the main character, whose quick wit and go-get-em attitude would lead the group. Emma was the girl from across the street. She is strong-willed and passionate, and Nathan's huge crush. Then there's Jake, Nathan's best friend. He's usually the comic relief and acts like a punching bag through the whole story. Then there's Candace, Emma's more girly and prissy friend. She's just kind of there most of the time, making foolish mistakes that the others have to fix. My knowledge of monsters must have been pretty limited, because Nathan and Emma's costumes were werewolves, and Jake and Candace's were vampires. I was 8, so we're gonna ignore all the plot conveniences. One night, a few days before Halloween, Emma asks her mom for jewelry to wear with her costume. Her mom says that she can't wear any of her jewelry and not to try any on. Obviously, Emma ignores her mom and steals a handful of necklaces from her mom's room. She tries one on with her costume and something strange begins to happen. Her nails get longer, forming claws. Hair sprouts up all over her body and her face elongates. She becomes a werewolf and runs off into the night. She wakes up in her room the next morning with tattered clothing. She goes to confront her mom about what just happened when Nathan and Jake knock on her door to ask if she wants to go trick-or-treating with them on Halloween. For some reason, they're wearing their costumes. Again, plot convenience. She answers the door holding the necklaces. Jake immediately grabs one and puts it on because boys like necklaces for some reason. He turns into a vampire like you do. Nathan grabs another one of Emma's necklaces and turns into a werewolf and fights Jake. Emma and Candace bring Jake and Nathan back inside after they turn back into humans. Nathan wakes up in Emma's room and they discuss what just happened. All four of them go and confront Emma's mom, who turns out to be a witch who put a spell on the necklaces. The gang fight her or whatever, I don't really remember, and she retreats on her broomstick. Emma is homeless now, so she goes and lives with Nathan, I guess. And they all get candy that Halloween to last till Christmas. The end. It wasn't long by any means, but it was the first story I wrote to my knowledge, and it was fantastic. Okay, it was horrible, but I was 8, and I had pretty surprising storytelling chops. I do have to admit, I did kind of get a little obsessed with the story, considering the fact that I wrote 4 sequels. What's the point of reliving this with you? It's something that I was proud of at the time, something I honestly still am in a way. I feel waves of nostalgia writing this, and I honestly miss those days. When it was so simple to just write a silly story about Halloween and that to be enough. For that to be enough to satisfy myself and the responsibilities I had at the time. I miss those days. A lot. We've all got to start somewhere. It just so happens that I started here, writing a 30-page story on a computer running Windows Vista. It's okay if you're in a very different place than where you were when you started. Shoot a cannonball straight up high enough, it'll come down somewhere else. All that matters is that wherever it is that you land, you remember where you started. The word, or catch, or story that got you started.